Well, hi, Lori. I'm so excited to be with you today. And we're going to be doing your DMT blueprint, which is really exciting. It's something brand new that I can't wait to get into with you. But first, I want to hear from you just kind of what your intention is, what your experience has been so far. I know you've had one session with Katie, just kind of what your intention is and how it's going.
Okay. My intention overall is to evolve in the most magnificent and expanded way that is, in alignment right now. So far, this experience overall has just been delightful. I love everyone that I've met, and it's been rewarding and exciting, and it gives me a lot of inspiration moving forward and to spend the time and to acknowledge the people that are basically the facilitators and their commitment and their passion and love. So it's great.
And I love what you're saying. And today's session is going to be so supportive of this because it's really what your map to ascension is, what's already encoded in your DNA that's going to help you have, I don't even want to say information. There is information, yes, but also just the activation of what's already in your DNA in terms of your fastest route to ascension, to becoming who you came here to become, doing what you came here to do. And before we get started, I know there was also just some practical realities that you were facing in terms of being kind of on the cusp of a transition, maybe with work, maybe with where you're living. Is that still true? Do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure. Not a lot has happened here. It's been a relatively short time frame, but
Yeah.
I think we really are. I am married, and my husband and I are we're open to relocation. We want to downsize and sell some of our property. And ironically, we did get an offer that we were kind of in the final stages of, and the man just sort of walked away. I feel like it's on hold at this point,
Okay.
but we've decided to go ahead and continue marketing. But yes, there is some real world happenings that could certainly apply with this work that
And
we're
so
doing.
you have a sense that there's a chapter, it sounds like, that's maybe coming to a close and you're going to be selling some property, changing. I know that your business was very much tied to your property. And so that'll be shifting as well. Do you have a sense of what you're going to be stepping into? Or are you more just like, I know I'm feeling called that a shift needs to happen, that this kind of transition needs to take place, and I'm just sort of open to the next being revealed? I just wonder how much of a sense you have of what's next after this property does close.
That's not a hard place for me to go at all.
Good.
I'm I sense this as really as freedom,
Mhm.
ultimate freedom, and to not only, when I first decided to participate in this program, I really was about service. If my story could help other people, but also placing my evolution as my number one priority. And the close of this property would certainly allow for that, because I'm the kind of person that would be like, I will go get on the airplane tomorrow and go and explore. And, I'm accustomed to living spontaneously because of our business, but I'm super excited and welcoming that spontaneity and freedom and just living what the next is and the now and what's in present and being able to immediately act on it. So absolutely. And I do sense that there is an inner excitement, I guess you could call it, of welcoming and just I'm ready, and it's not at all a difficult thing to envision or sit with and be ready.
I love that. And I'm really feeling that energy of what you're calling freedom. And I think this is the perfect moment to shift into your blueprint, what you're feeling that's activating. I think you're just going to get a lot more of information and support about exactly what is coming online and what is ready to fully express through you. And I'm so excited to share it. So just a little background. So the DMT, the Ascension Blueprint, is based on your date and your time of birth and where you were born, kind of what was encoded at the moment of your birth. So it's based on your astrology, but unlike astrology or human design or these things that are kind of static and are more sort of, here's an information, here's, what you were born as, this is more dynamic in terms of this is what you came here to ascend. This is what you came here to evolve. So it's going to give you information about who you came here to be, what your purpose in coming was. My experience when I had received my own blueprint was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense in terms of the challenges I seem to face over and over again, the ways I tend to look at things or the things that kind of tend to repeat. That all becomes sort of revealed and enlightened, and you see, okay, this is why those things keep showing up, because this is what I personally came here to ascend. This was what I came here with, the sort of soul intention of this is going to be what I want to work with. This is what I want to work through. And so it gives you a real sense of, okay, now that I see that, I can start transcending and ascending those patterns. And so the loops or whatever it may be become less obstacles and more like, this is my path. This is my raw material. And so it's really a cool way to begin working with really your reality, because these codes, they're a map or fastest blueprint to becoming the ascended version of Lori, of everything that you came here intending to create and accomplish. And your map was really, really, really cool. And I'm so excited to share it. So your first code is your avatar. So that's really the identity that you came to embody. So it's who I came here to become, the archetype of who I came here to live my life as. And your avatar was the mastermind. It's the 11, which is Christ consciousness. It's living outside of the matrix. It's living outside of density and constriction. So everything that you were saying about freedom, yes, I feel like that's circumstantial, but it's also a recognition in you that you're stepping into this identity of living outside the constraints of essentially 3D reality. And so I want to just start by asking how that even lands.
Perfect. It strongly resonates.
Yeah. So,
and I can elaborate a bit, is that is my objective, is to be Christ-like. I have been that way for many years with that, I guess, philosophy or outline of behavior and acting in the world. So yes, very, very strong alignment on that.
Well,
it resonates.
Good. And I just want to acknowledge too that sense is obviously that mastermind and that blueprint at work, right? Because it's living from that space of knowing and intuition and connection to the divine mind rather than the human mind. The way this can express on the more negative side or before it's ascended is being identified in things like control or trying to make something happen rather than being in that state of full surrender and flow. So I don't know how that's been a part of your story, but to the extent there's been aspects or portions of your life where you have been identified with being in control or having a really concrete plan or framework or whatever it is, and this is going to be the steps, and I'm going to go here and then I'm going to go here, that's really the pattern that's ascending into of just truly, I mean, divine oneness, flow, openness, operating from inspiration and intuition. And so certainly with the property, obviously that would apply. I mean, it's going to apply literally everywhere. And just knowing that you're being so divinely held, you're being so divinely supported, and you are embodying this energy of purity. I don't know how else to say it. And so it's just, I feel like what's really coming in is that just trusting that on an even deeper level.
Okay. What we've been doing with the farming is you have to be in full surrender because you cannot change the weather, and full trust. And it's a capital intensive enterprise. So there's, large amounts of money going out, and you don't always have large amounts of money coming in, just the costs to produce. So you're really exposed on a lot of, it's very raw. So that has definitely allowed me to observe this topic. And I would say, it resonates. I don't know that I particularly have been of control, but I certainly have had experienced that theme in my life. I was very controlled in my upbringing, and it took a good portion of my young adult life to unravel all that and really kind of figure out who I was, because I was so manipulated and I wasn't allowed to be who I am when I was a child, But it certainly resonates with my life experience thus far. And yes, full surrender is, and I sometimes will find myself panicking when I know I have, it's been more on the financial front that I feel when it crunches me, because I have these huge bills, and, it's taken me years to get to the place. And what's ironic too is I feel that now, as far as this being part of my intention of birth and coming in at this time, is that I'm ready now. I know how those pieces kind of lock together and how it plays out when I'm able to be in that surrender mode of just letting it go and being in full trust. I'd say the hardest aspect has been with the finances.
Yes.
But I feel now that perhaps the potential sale is indicative of my shift and change, being ready, having come to that place more. Does that make sense? Okay.
It does make sense. And I feel like what's coming through for me, and I think this will lead perfectly into the next code as well, is I think it's really common for us as light workers. And first of all, everything you're saying, I think people are going to be able to resonate with, both having a period of life where maybe we were misunderstood. Maybe we had to, for whatever reason, hide kind of the truth of who we were and the truth of what we came here to express, either because we were forced to, because it just was too painful, whatever the reason. And then also dealing with just the practical realities of, okay, I know I came here to be a light worker, and how do I express fully when maybe it's been hard to do that in the past? And also, how do I deal with the everyday realities of financially supporting myself, and all of those kind of different strands of experience coming together. Part of the 11, the mastermind, is, yes, the surrender, but also the empowerment to kind of pull in that place of I can trust myself. I know, for example, with you, like, I know that I'm being called to make this transition. And so not only am I going to trust that there's support coming financially with the right buyer, with whatever, but also it's almost like a moving from just trust that feels a little bit more passive to, like, I'm going to expect this as part of my almost like divine entitlement. I mean, because when you think about Christ, he was very powerful. There was an element of surrender, but there was also an element of kind of command and empowerment. And your second code, which is your purpose. So the first code is what I came here to embody, who I came here to be. The second code is why I came. This is what I came here to master. This is my biggest sort of challenge. This is what I came here to ascend and really learn and embody and understand. And yours is the 4, which is new form. It's the alchemist. It's the transforming old distortion into new form. So it's sort of purifying, and it's providing that stability to build this new earth not from fear, not from force, not from survival, but from divine trust. But that divine trust comes not from just a place of surrender, but from that the activation of that knowing. Does that make sense? It's almost like that energy of manifestation, that energy of owning that I know what I came here to do. I know what I came here to create, and I can just fully expect that all of that is coming online. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a knowing through, it's like it's done. There's
Yeah.
no, it's kind of like some of the experiences that I've had where it's almost like everything that took place in between the shift is, number one, it's irrelevant
Yeah.
because you're going from point A to point B, but it almost just happened without, it's the no effort. It's the not going into the mind. It's like almost like manifestation through frequency and intention. So I can understand the building factor, and then the sense of command with that, as far as just it's unequivocally known that it's going to happen without question. It's going to happen. And yeah, I've been experiencing and witnessing some things like that. I've had some kind of mystical moments, and it's really cool. It's a new horizon for sure. But yeah, that absolutely resonates. And interestingly, I think one thing that I've really kind of become fatigued by this lifestyle that I've been living for the last over 20 years now is I'm very physically connected through the enterprise with all of the stuff and the earth and the land, and it's very dense because it's reality in that sense. So of course maybe I want to escape it, but what we have built here and what I have put my energy into can provide the liberation financially and the freedom. It definitely resonates, and your delivery is very, very well structured and understood.
Okay, well, you put it so perfectly. And I'm so glad you're starting to have that experience of commanding, knowing it is done, and
Knowing
really,
it's done.
yeah, it's like trust, but it's a trust that's very active because, and I feel like the four is really about the the unseen becoming more real than the seen, because you can feel the energy of what's taking form so strongly that it becomes easy to trust in it, right? Because it's such an ever present, tangible reality. And that is really what you came here to show, is to stabilize. That's really your purpose, is stabilizing that unseen new form, that what's being created, to such a degree that the trust becomes really, really effortless because you can feel the presence of what's taking shape so strongly. And I love what you said about the earth and the density, and I want to move to your next code. So the third code is what you came to transcend. So the kind of, it's the most sort of 3D aspect. It's like, okay, these are the loops that I signed up to struggle with so that I can have the experience of ascending them. So again, as I said at the beginning, it's going to help shift from looking at loops as obstacles into, these are just the invitations into your mastery. So they're, again, what's going to help you ascend the fastest. And your third code is the one, which is the survival. It's the life and death cycle. It's like that ultimate density, that ultimate primal body, primal programming, the earth as something that we have to contend with and try to tame in order to survive. That is exactly what you came here to have the experience of, so that you could have the experience of being on the other side of it. And the other side of it is innovation, it's expansion, it's being the first. It's complete transformation, flipping from the experience of the primal, the experience of the density, the experience of being so hemmed in by 3D reality into, okay, well, now we're going to experience the impossible made possible, and really challenging everything in terms of every every limitation. And so it makes sense that your experience has been what it's been so far. And I wonder what it feels like hearing that as something that's really going to be kind of your portal into the opposite of that energy.
I feel like I've already kind of, the experience of growing a crop and being connected to the land. It has evolved me in ways that I could never have expected and I've studied how does soil work and how do we, really being a steward. I don't feel like I'm an owner. I'm a temporary caretaker of this land, and I've become an activist for water conservation and water use, which is a huge issue in my area. And so I see that this experience that I've had is going to, I can see it possibly leaving a legacy. My goal is to change the law. So when our legislative session opens next after the first of the year, I'm going to, I was the pioneer in getting a lot of protest against some of the stuff that's happening. Anyway, my connection with the soil, maybe I spoke about this before in my some of the other things, is how the harmony and the amazing beauty of just God's creation of the soil itself and how it is meant to live and how it is meant to survive and thrive by communication of all the bacteria, virus, and fungi creates an environment that the plants, it's like harmony on all levels with everything. And then I've kind of been able to integrate what my role as a human is in that as steward of this land at this particular moment. And so it's taken me on a very, very expanded exploration and journey. And now I feel a resonance with everything in life in a new way. So that has already transformed me on some level. And my intention is to protect this basin's water resource for the future. And that is my little side gig that I've been doing. And I'm having some good results. And it's been very interesting to have people come to me. They're calling me the Aaron Bronkovic. And they're like, wow, you've done this. And I don't feel it or see it. But now that because it's been somewhat recent, just over the last few months that I've really been participating in this since April. So it has already brought me to a place that maybe it's unlikely that I would have had the opportunity to have activated and utilized these aspects of myself. So it's definitely been a tool for exploration of those areas.
I love that example of the soil and the complete, just I could really feel when you were speaking. I mean, just that sense of oneness and of unity consciousness that you can experience from being in nature, and certainly from being in nature as intimately as you have. And I think that's absolutely, that is the flip side of this life and death and struggle, is this complete harmony, right? And we see it, and we see the evidence of it, and we see the possibility of it. And so I love that you have such an awareness of that. You have such an energetic remembrance of that. And that's really going to be your key, right? And so when you hit those places of density, when you hit those places of what you would call struggle or fear or anxiety or whatever it is, it's just calling on that energy of complete harmony and oneness, really trusting that it can be everywhere and it can do everything. I mean, it can do the impossible. And it sounds like you're already starting to have some experiences of that. And I just see this like ripple effect of, just that growing and growing and growing, and that energy of harmony that you're really shepherding and tending to in the same way you've shepherded and tended to this land. It's now this just ripple effect that you're creating in the way that you're showing up in everything that you're doing. And not even just what you're doing, but the way you're doing it and the energy that you're carrying into everything you're doing. It's just really beautiful. And I can feel that it's really having an impact way beyond even what what you're seeing, which actually perfectly takes us into the next code, which is the universal law you came here to master. So again, it's turning inside out, this third dimensional law and really ascending it into its next. And yours, the law of action and movement. And so I feel like that goes perfectly with what we were just talking about, which is kind of like, okay, I know I want to get this result. And so I'm going to take this action to create this result. And then you can imagine what the ascension of that would be, right? It's letting go of that sense of kind of 3D causality almost, and saying, okay, I have this intention for harmony, for freedom, for water conservation. And I know that there's a way to get there that is going to be easy and flowy and feel effortless. It's not the old paradigm of creating form with form. It's allowing energy to let form be created through you. And so I just feel like that's in perfect alignment with everything we've talked about so far. And I feel like for me, the message I'm getting with this code is just really like letting it be easy and letting it be that sense of effortlessness, really leaving this sense of struggle and it's hard and I have these various things to contend with, really just noticing how much you may have already moved past that into this phase of ease and effortlessness and things just working out and synchronicity and divine flow and acting through inspiration and it just being so beautifully supported. And again, similar to the last one, this is the one that may have presented historically as struggle, and been difficulty and density. And now it's flipping into that other side of the ascended version, which is going to feel totally different. So it's going to feel like the release of that density. And so yeah, let me know how that what's coming through for you in terms of the law of action.
The law of action, that also resonates very strongly because I feel like maybe my patterning or my behavior from the past would be to feel overwhelmed by everything that either I recognize how I have created places where I am overwhelmed or I am, and I almost freeze because I don't know which action to take first. And I've learned to lighten up and just kind of get out of that place and just relax and breathe and be like, okay, well, and take that, disconnect from it, not be neutral. And I wouldn't even necessarily call it an observe, because this is a process that takes time to integrate all of these things. But I only look at what is present in that moment and I take it just as it comes, rather than looking at the whole thing, which is like, okay, I'll do this. And then and also understanding that I am one person capable of what I can do. And I think I used to overwork and overdo a lot of other things. Maybe that's one of the other negative expressions of that. I've become more into balance with that, but that one also resonates. So essentially, when we take action, we're activating a particle. We're creating possibility.
Yeah. So it's essentially, it's exactly what you said and what you're experiencing. Action becomes, when it's inspired, right? It becomes so much more impactful. So it's both, the action feels easier and less effortful, even effortless. And the results of that action are way beyond what maybe they would have been otherwise. And also, just, it's almost like a release from causality at all, and which is what you were talking about with being in the present moment. So it's like holding an intention, right, for what it is I want to create, but also trusting that in any given moment I'm taking action, and that's creating that intention, not through causality in terms of like, I'm going to put this brick here and then I'm going to put this brick here, but through creating like an energetic field almost. And so it releases some of that density from the action. And I can relate to what you're saying so much with overwhelm And I think part of what I've recognized that my overwhelm has come from too is when you're operating from kind of that cause and effect, it's like every action has it's so outcome focused. It's so result oriented. And that's really heavy, right? Because it's not just being in the purity of the present moment. It's I'm doing this thing to get to this thing. And every time an action doesn't result in what you think it's going to result in, it's just that just adds to the exhaustion. It adds to the burnout. And this is almost taking a step back and seeing it all as a unified field, which is I have this energetic intention. I have this action I'm inspired to take. And I know it's all building in this very beautiful quantum harmonious way that I can just kind of trust that it's all being created in the most, it's the way nature creates, right? And through ease and flow and one thing leading into the other where no energy is wasted. And so it's just it's that harmony really that you were talking about earlier.
That really does make a lot of sense because I understand because we can't even maybe comprehend how incredible the outcome or how everything coming together, what the true manifestation can be so much more than what we can even comprehend if we trust and be in that moment. And just so I understand putting it out there. So that all makes perfect sense. And the efforting, it definitely makes sense because there is really very little density of energy utilized or taken up. It coming from the more frequency creation and expression in the moment of what it is, and not being attached to a specific outcome either, and trusting that whatever does end up resulting from these explorations or putting stuff out there, these action steps, so to speak, or action that, so it starts, we're weaving a new reality of like a new operating system.
I love the way that you just said that. And I feel like you brought in something even additional, which is this sense of expression. It's like not only is energy not expended and lost, but in fact, everything is energy giving, right? Because when we're operating through that place of expression, we're no longer taking energy, and everything is creating more energy. And so not only are you going to not have the burnout and the overwhelm and the exhaustion, but you're going to have new levels of inspiration and creativity and magic and all of those things. So yeah, I think what you said is exactly right. Like it's this new framework, it's this new operating system that's just turning on and being activated. And maybe right now everything looks the same, but there's a sense, and you're here to stabilize that sense. It's actually all already completely different. And we're about to really start moving into what that looks like in larger and larger and larger ways and expressions. Okay. So the next code this is the technology that you can master most quickly. So this is the technology that when you are having a moment of struggle or density or whatever, this is what you're going to call upon, because again, it's what's encoded in you as being your most accessible, your most natural, your most easy technology. And you got the 11 again. So that technology is the divine mind technology. So it's creation of the new neurological pathways. And so it's really an ascension of the 3D mind, the nervous system. So it's allowing your consciousness to become available to higher wisdom, expanded awareness, profound clarity. The divine mind exists beyond the conditioned mind, inherited beliefs, and collective programming. So it's really being able to tap into that Christ consciousness. So not only is that your avatar, that's also your most natural technology. So you can just trust that anytime you need higher perspective, you just activate that 11. You activate that technology. And I want I want to hear what your experience has been so far with, do you feel like you have an awareness of your ability to tap into that divine consciousness?
In the sense of, you're saying like I'm living at regular life and I get to some point and I'm like, okay, I experience a lot of, I'm not 100% sure to answer your question. I have a mode that I can go into that is not the regular Lori and Lori mind. It's more of I have the opportunity, because I spend a lot of time outside and in nature walking, that I kind of go into this altered place. And I do sometimes receive messages and information that way. It's definitely not in the mind. It's more from and I have a sense of knowing in my body of just, it's pretty sound and pretty valid. It feels valid, very, very appropriate and valid in the moment to me. Is that along the lines of what
Yes.
you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what's so cool about this blueprint, is it's really just bringing to light what's already there and what you are already experiencing, but maybe because it is so natural to you, because has been such a part of your experience, you're not even necessarily recognizing, oh my gosh, this is a divine technology. This is something that I can call upon whenever I need support. And it may not be instantaneous, but the divine mind is really, it's just that higher perspective. And it's kind of what you were talking about. I feel like, because not everybody, Lori, looks at the soil and sees the perfect harmony that's there, right? And feels the energy of that and feels that connection throughout their body. That's your technology. That's you, and that's that divine mind coming online and allowing you to experience your reality, not through programmed consciousness, but through inspired consciousness. And I really feel like you do have such a sense of all of these, and it's just a matter of letting them just get bigger and letting them show you how powerful they are, and allowing them to just create, for lack of a better word, more of what you want and less of what you don't want, right? Both energetically, but also in your reality, because it's time. Like, you've done the work, you are embodying all of these things so beautifully. And I feel like what's coming forward, and what that 11 avatar is the master, and it's owning that mastery and not being afraid to connect to who you are as a master.
Okay. One other thing I'd like to share in the session, in the sharing that we're having right now, is that what really comes into the moment to me right now is not only acknowledging the power of creation, because I can very clearly see how the life that I have created brings together the lessons or challenges and gifts so perfectly for both the expression of the positive, and also I created a real world challenge for myself. So those divine aspects of ourself that are maybe the soul putting all of it on the table for us to work with, acknowledge, and basically, okay, what do you want to do? This is your life. You're here. It's all up to you, and you can elevate that and you can transform it in a new way. So it's like a perfect foundation laid out for me. I'm kind of blown away, actually. So yeah, it all strongly resonates. So you're saying that having the 11 to start off with, and the 11 as the technology, which is something that comes more naturally, that's somewhat harmonious.
Yeah.
I feel, yeah, I'll have to, there's a lot here to kind of keep going with, but yeah, I can just so clearly see how I created the perfect foundation for my own growth and evolution without even knowing it.
Yeah. I had that. I had that exact experience too when I got my blueprint. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so tailored to my life, and it makes all of those struggles or obstacles or the things we've been contending with, they really become our portals, because it's like, oh my gosh, yes, I set all of this up so that I could have the experience of what it was like to transcend it.
Yeah.
And it goes from feeling so at the mercy of reality to so kind of in awe of and excited to begin experiencing it in this new way, now that you have the map, right? Now that you can see it all more clearly. And I think too, you have the 11 avatar, you have the 11 technology, and yes, that's so harmonious and that's so supportive. But I also think that just speaks to the bigness of what you're here to do. And I don't know that that'll look like anything more than just you showing up in this beautiful energy that you're already showing up in, and letting that expand and get bigger, and like those ripples to just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I just really want to honor who you are as a person and who you are as a soul, because it's just so, I just love being with you, and it just feels so, I just have so much reverence for who you are, and you're just doing a good job.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. I feel the same way. This has been so fun,
Yeah.
so connected.
Yeah.
And
I have one more for you, and this is your body point in your light language portal. So this is similar to that technology. This is kind of what you can call upon to activate this whole blueprint and just kind of make it really easy, and like pull all that energy up, pull all that frequency up, everything that we've talked about, all of that support, that embodiment, the ease, the flow. This is kind of your quick shortcut to it. And so this is also the 4, and the body point of the 4 is 3 finger widths above the inner ankle bone along the inside of the leg.
Okay.
And so I know for me, when I got my point, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. Like that's crazy how the sort of energetic jolt that comes when you activate it. So that's your body point. And what that body point, activating that body point is going to do is create greater harmony between spirit and matter, which is, I feel like, the perfect summary of everything we've talked about. And so you can gently hold or simulate that point. And then the light language is Lusine. And so that's also something that you can repeat that's going to do the same thing to activate this entire blueprint. And there is a movement that comes with the 4 and with Lusine. And I believe it's essentially allowing through the hands. So when you're saying that light language, you're just feeling in your hands as just those streams of divine light are filling your body. And so I love that yours is coming from both the angles. So it's like coming from the earth, and then it's coming from above as well. And you're really harmonizing that spirit and that matter. This has been amazing. I'm going to send you all of this in a PDF, and I'm also going to activate it energetically with a 21-day activation. So for the next 21 days, it's going to be running through the technology. So both energetically, you'll be getting the support of that running through the technology, and then also with the PDF, you'll be able to sit with everything we talked about. And I know it's going to just bring greater and greater clarity and unfolding and support.
That's
and
evolution scalar technology.
Yes, exactly. So Jules has an entire system, and so you run codes through it, and it's just sending that divine energetic support through the quantum field to really help you to stabilize in it.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you want to share? I mean, this was so amazing and so beautiful, and I'm just so honored to have been with you today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate it. I can't really fully express right now what all is happening, but I know that a lot is activated and shifted and changing.
Yeah.
I can't define it at this particular moment.
Yeah. I think that's perfect.
Just from this experience that we what you have shared and presented. So it brought a sense of just, I don't know, like it feels settled. Like
Good.
it's okay where I am. No expectation, no pressure,
Yeah.
just flow and allow to, but more like integrating the 3D physical realities of the density stuff and bringing it into where I am, and then kind of going with it and just being open to see what manifests. So I feel this beyond rewarding and beneficial. Thank you so much.
Well, for me as well, and I'm so excited to continue following your transformation journey, and I just always love being with you, and
Likewise.
we'll see what's next.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you so much. Okay.